Hi, sit down, shut up, listen, more car vlog, because I only care about politics because I'm hyper fixated. Okay, so I'm about to explain something. There's a big difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, there's two types of Republicans. There's MAGA and there's Groypers. MAGA, we know what MAGA is. They're like boomers that don't know what they're doing, that are conservative. MAGA is just like the normal conservative. There are very rare Republicans that are normal Republicans that aren't MAGA or Groyper-esque or fit the Groyper description. MAGA is just like the normal, oh, they hate trans people, they hate Mexicans, they love Trump. Groypers are much more complicated. Now listen, they're both Nazis. Groypers and MAGA / conservatives, both of them are Nazis, but Groypers are extreme, like, you think MAGA's far right, Groypers are extremely far right. But it's kind of funny, because when it comes to topic of Israel, free Palestine, but when it comes to the topic of Israel, MAGA is pro-Israel. So they love the genocide that's happening in Palestine. Free Palestine, fuck Israel. Anyway, it's weird because Groypers loop back around to being anti-Israel. Not really pro-Palestine necessarily, but they're anti-Israel. But it's born out of anti-Semitism because they hate everything. Like any marginal group, Jews, Mexicans, trans people, doesn't matter. But another thing is Groypers loop back around. I might be wrong because I'm not super educated about it, but I might be wrong about trans people, them hating trans people, because Groypers loop back around similar to Israel, going from a conservative that's pro-Israel normally to anti-Israel. They loop back around with trans people too. They love trans, forgive me for this, guys that are transitioning into girls. I don't know if that's a trans female or trans male. I don't know the correct terminology. Give me grace for that. Just because I'm an ally, I'm just not educated. I'm focusing on a little bit more important things while simply saying y'all deserve rights. The terminology and the niches about it isn't important enough whenever everybody's starving and dying and there's a fascist government on our hands. But it's weird that Groypers, which are way worse, are agreeable on two subjects about not hating on trans people because they love trans people for some reason, which would be respectable if they weren't Nazis, and being anti-Israel, which would also be good if it wasn't because they were anti-Semites. Now, but the difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, Republicans, there's two, Groypers and MAGA / normal conservatives, which I just described. Democrats, though, have like 6, 7, 8 different like subsections. So first there's a normal Democrat where they're not, think of Gavin Newsom, right? Like, he's not very liberal. Like, he is on a hype train of being like anti-Trump, but that, I wouldn't say that's super liberal. He's not like a debate bro, which I'll get into what liberals really are in a second. But Democrats are just like your normal one-of-the-mill, like a conservative, but like nicer about it, like not openly racist, you know. And liberals are like that, but the thing that distinguishes them, a Democrat and a liberal, well, liberals believe a little bit in libertarianism, which I'm not educated about, but I know it's not a great like system, not better than capitalism, I don't think, or that much better. But the difference is Democrats aren't as horny about being debate bros as liberals are. Liberals love debating and having gotchas and being right. They're very annoying. They have no backbone. That's why I'm forgetting his name. don't care. Dean Withers, I think is his name. Dean Withers. That's why he cried when Charlie Kirk died. I get it because he's a kid. He's probably around my age, maybe a little bit older because I'm 20. He's probably like 22. He cried because he was like close to the situation. Like, he was basically Charlie Kirk, but for liberals and Democrats. So he cried because of the closeness, but also just because he doesn't have a backbone. Like, I kind of like Dean Withers, but whenever I saw him crying and like not critiquing Charlie Kirk's character while also saying it's wrong that Charlie Kirk died and got assassinated, him not doing both of those things and just getting emotional about it made me like give him a side eye and be like, you're a bit of a pussy, man. Like, come on. He was a Nazi. He was like KKK member. So those are liberals. Liberals debate bros. Democrats are just like your normal run-of-the-mill Democrat, I would say. I think you can sum it up. But then you get into democratic socialists and social democrats. I'm not completely sure what the big difference is. One of them, which, forgive me, I forget which one, but one wants to change capitalism a little bit. They just want to tweak it, while the other wants to destroy capitalism. I hate capitalism, so I'm the one that wants to destroy capitalism. So that's 4. The fifth that I can think of is communism. They would also fall under the Democratic Party because of the two parties. Like, if you run as an independent communist, you won't get any votes. But if you run as a Democratic communist, you would have a better chance than being an independent. Being an independent is stupid because people don't care. Independents don't get votes. But communists would be under Democrats, the Democratic Party. Just communists are far left. Also, I think a 6th one, which I don't know if... See, I think one of the two that I'm getting confused, I think social democrats or democratic socialists. I think democratic socialists are the ones that hate communism. Sorry. They don't hate communism. We don't hate communism. I think social democrats hate capitalism. But social democrats, I think, are just another way of saying socialists. I don't know. Maybe it's like a small thing. But I think the 6th one could be socialists. But that's like a step before communists. Like, I'm a socialist, preferably. Like, I would love a socialist society because communism is a little too far left for me. But I would prefer communism over capitalism. But if I got to bake my cake and eat it too, I would pick socialism. So there's 6 versus 2, which is crazy. And we really need to support just like socialist movements, because what socialism is like free healthcare for everybody. That's socialism. The government, in a socialist society, the government would own like Target. And then if Target's like doing some fuck shit, the government would step in and be like, hey, stop doing that, or we're taking everything. And they're like, no. And then the government are like, yes. And their Target is like, no. And then government is like, okay, we're shutting you down and taking you over. And then they can lower prices and increase wages, which is good because that would improve the economy. Be a socialist if you're open-minded about things, okay? Because if you care about your family, like family values is socialism. But the big difference, there's another difference within the Democratic Party that I'll point out that I just remembered. But the difference between the right and the left is the farther left, don't need an enemy. The only enemy is capitalism, but once that enemy is taken care of, all that matters is just improving everybody's life. Conservatives don't care about improving anybody's life. They target one group, take down that group, and then go to another. For example, and this is why Nazi Germany wasn't left-wing. Hitler went against Jews, which is a minority group that they killed and made an enemy out of in order to get into power and into office. They're doing the same thing here, but with black people, Mexican people, and trans people. But theoretically, if they eliminated all those people, it would eventually, they would just like make up a new enemy where it'd be like women or Asian people, because like for some reason white supremacists are more okay with Asian people, but they would make an enemy of Asian folk as soon as trans, Mexican, and black are gone. So that's that difference, is one needs an enemy and will constantly create one, while the other doesn't need one and just wants to improve everybody's life and the world. Because literally, like, theoretically, at least how I think about it, if we committed to socialism in the entire world, we would turn into an interplanetary species, because then everything would be funded and money just wouldn't be a thing. We would just be like, hey, let's gather all our resources and go to space. And our world also wouldn't be fixed, but we would be like, we want to go to space because, like, why not? We want more people, and that would be cool. But that's like 300 years in the future of socialism, because it's a long process to fix our mistakes. So then another thing is, within the Democratic Party, there's a big difference between a Democrat and a socialist/communist. So Democrats, when you're analyzing socialism and communism, Democrats and liberals are far right compared to communists and socialists, because Democrats and liberals still believe in capitalism. They think it's still good. They just want to, like, not tweak it, but like not do the fuck shit that Republicans are doing. Whereas socialists and communists see capitalism and they're like, that policy is shit, we're gonna get rid of it, and we're gonna actually do something good, because capitalism is bad. Why is capitalism bad? Because eventually you get into super profits. It can be good for industry, but like fucking Russia and the Soviet Union in like 30 years have as big of a boom in terms of economy, and they became Russia wasn't a global superpower before World War I, but then like around World War II, and like especially during the Cold War, which wasn't that long after World War II compared to how long it took for capitalism to make America as big as it was. Like, the Cold War happened because of communism in Russia. Like, they wouldn't have been able to get there if the Russian government wasn't communist. Which is crazy, because they did it in a shorter span, but had the same a bigger industry boom, really, since they were the first to space, but we were the first to the moon. And it took us 200 years in capitalism from about 200 years since we settled in the late 1700s and got to space in the late 1900s. It took us 200 years to get to space. It took Russia, because they were shit before, I think, World War I, but don't quote me on that. Around World War I or before World War I, they were in dog piss type society, but then they, through communism, exploded into space either 40 or 80 years later, which is insane compared to 200 years, which I'm still probably wrong. It's still probably shorter than that, but that's crazy. But that shows what communism can do. But I don't know why the Soviet Union fell. It might have been the Cold War. I'm still learning history, but I can't learn history very well because there's so much shit happening today. Oh my god. I'm gonna make another video about Tylenol. Bye.